it's not that I felt like I wanted someone better, but yeah, a body, like the loneliness is hard. The loneliness is hard. And it's not that having anybody is better than a body, right? Than any, it's not like just anybody. There's things that are attractive about someone, you know, whether it's physical or, maybe they could be a firefighter. That's attractive. You know what I mean? That, whatever the attraction might be. I think that just like you, it's, although you said someone better than you, right? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, so like based on like what I would was looking for. So let's say like I'll use my 20s because that decade was a huge struggle for me. And I was someone that didn't have a lot of money. So what I would do is someone that appeared to have some money, I would try to be around that person regardless of how maybe destructive their personality was,
mm,
because there was something that I was sensitive about. And here's someone who is quote unquote better than me because they have more resources, more money. So that's where there's a little bit of difficulty for me in my 20s, because I remember one time there was someone who I was around, a woman, and she came from a family that was pretty wealthy. And there's times where we would hang out and nothing happened, but there's a little bit of interest there from her side. She used to tell me, she's like, you can't walk away from me. Do you know who I am? I have this, I have that, I have that, right? So looking back, I understand why I did it, because it was a sensitive thing for me not having money. But now I'm around someone that comes from a family with money, but look at their behavior. They're using it to control people. And to a
mm.
degree, I was allowing that to happen just because she was better than me in an area that I was sensitive about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, money is always a big thing, but I definitely hear you. And I would say money was never, I never necessarily was attracted to people that had money. It was more people who have good relationships with their mothers. So odd. Or had, I always found myself like I would almost attach to the person's family. I found myself attaching to their family. And it was like sometimes it was hard to end a relationship because it was like, well, his mom is like a mom to me, you know? So if I lose him, now I'm losing another mother. So for me, it was more relational, but I can absolutely relate to, to kind of finding people who I can, or staying around people because of those relationships, if that makes sense.
It does. It's like you find something in someone that maybe you're lacking, and then you ignore everything else, right? There was someone who he found this girl attractive because he dates a specific, I forget where the girl is from, but he prefers to date girls from a specific part of the world,
Okay.
right? Very specific. He doesn't live there, but so he has to hope that they migrate over here, then he has to like go search them out.
Oh.
So when he found one, totally took him through the ringer, right? But he was so happy as it was happening, right? Like he's being abused, he's being mistreated in this way, and like just his the mask that he had, you would think that he was like kind of enjoying it because he was with what he wanted.
Mm.
But there's all this other behaviors, right? But it was, oh, for him, it was worth it. So be like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, this happened to me. Yeah, this happened to me and everything. And someone that I knew that I used to work with, he mentioned he told me about situations. I was like, oh, I didn't know you knew that person. He's like, oh, did you hear how it ended? I was like, no. I was like, yeah, he came home one day and she was in bed with two other guys.
Mm.
So I'm like, so not one, but two. Right? Like, so
I,
that was enough to break it. So it's interesting how as human beings we can connect with one type of behavior and not connect on 10 other ones, but because this one is so strong,
mhm.
we ignore the other 10, right?
Yeah. And I would say too that my I have a different lens. So I see people like it's almost like my best trait, but my worst trait. I see the best in people and I overlook faults. That's such a great trait for a lot of reasons. But it's also a horrible trait because everyone around you is saying this person's bad. This person's bad. This person isn't good for you. What get away from this person. I can't believe that you're not seeing what's going on and you're like, "Well, they're so sweet to me," or, "He did this or she did this." Because it's not even only with relationships with men, it's friendships too. I've had friendships just like this, that I've tolerated horrible behavior. I've tolerated being abused and used and not seen and not heard and take. And I've like, well, they're going through a hard time or they had a rough childhood or they're just having a bad day. And it's always like an excuse. I always like try to see the best in people.